Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my presentation. First of all, I would like to thank you all for coming here today, even if we are in a virtual environment. And as you can see on the screen, our topic for today is airplane body matching using Azure Form Recognizer. And my talk is particularly relevant for those of you who are working on the field where you need to extract data, you need to get data from resources that were digitalized but were more or less in a paper format. Why say more or less? Because it can be the context where you have a document or a receipt or something that was scanned or somebody took a picture of it, or it can be in the case when somebody sends you content in a PDF format, but you're not able to get the information from it because of the way how was the export of the PDF or was a PDF format to an image and so on. So this is my main topic for today. But before going forward, I would say that we need to think about this code that Gandhi had, be the change that you wish to see in the world. And nowadays, we are living in a world where, for example, Microsoft Azure has a lot of services that are combining AI and ML. Most of them are on the cognitive services part, but not only that, that can improve our life, improve the way how we resolve different day-to-day problem that we have in our lives or from the business point of view and so on. So we need to think about them in a different way and to see what are the things that we can do, what are the tools that we can integrate to be able to make our life easier. And future, in the end, it is a blend. It is a combination between different services from the technology point of view, from different technologies, API, and so on. And it is very important to be aware of this because there will be no straight solution that can apply to everything. Let's think about where we are now and why Form Recognizer and AI is so important. Please consider that around 60% of people would prefer to message, to talk with a chatbot versus to talk with a human being, meaning that we are much closer to the moment in time when you would prefer to have only bots to interact and so on. Nevertheless, that bot needs to be able to process, needs to be able to understand the pictures, the documents that a person would send to them. Only in 2021, 80% of emerging technologies were found on top of AI, more or less, meaning that now we are in the world where almost all new technologies that are coming, and let's look from the development side, from the pipeline side, from the data, and so on, are having a part of them built on top of AI to improve how we do query, how we do backups, how we get data, and so on. And if a few years ago we were saying that data is the new gold or is the most valuable thing that we have now, we could say that nowadays the search capability and how we get data from the digital content that we have is the most important thing. And the person that knows exactly how to get the data has the biggest power. And let's start with the story. Story from 2019. I was visiting Colombia. We have two offices, one in Bogota and one in Medellin. And in Bogota, I was meeting a woman called Christina. I met her. We say hi, hello. After that, each of us went to the meeting that we had in that day. After 2 days, I flew to Medellin. And also, I met Christina one more time there. And she was speaking at the phone, and I realized that she's speaking my own language, Romanian. And I said, okay, that's strange. After the phone call, I had a chat with her, and what I found out, she was from Romania. She was from the same city where I'm based in. Both of us were working from the same company, but we were not aware that we were flying to Colombia and back in the same day with just a few hours difference using different airlines. And I said, okay, would be nice to know when other people are visiting different locations, are in the same place from the organization, just to know who is there, maybe to if you need support or help, to know who you could reach and so on. So I said, okay, what we could do to be able to have such a system using the technologies that are available now on the market with less investment from the development side, from running the site, but also to be able to have a notification that somebody else would fly in the same location that where I would go. This is a picture from Medellin. You might be more closer to this one because of some Netflix series. But what I want to share with you, this is how Medellin really look like. It's very beautiful, and the business downtime looks very close to the downtowns of cities, for example, from US especially. So what I would like to design together with you and to show how we can do it is to design a system that is able to process airplane tickets and to identify who flies where for how long and when he will come back. This is our main mission, and the mission is should be pretty simple, but it's pretty complex, and there are some challenges. But nevertheless, this is a high-level view what we would like to achieve. What is the biggest challenge? The biggest challenge is the following. Depending on which kind of organization you are part of, or if you book your airplane and your train ticket by yourself, you'll find out that you will receive the ticket in different formats. Can be a text one, can be a PDF, can be a specific one to the airline. For example, we are using Agencia, and in most of the cases, the format is straightforward, except for one or two airline companies that have a different format of the ticket, meaning that you need to be able to build a system that can identify not only different formats, but to extract the same content that you were labeling it. And it's pretty challenging because on one side, you have the official PDF ticket. On the other side, you might have some images that are generated automatically and so on. One of the options is open source with computer vision and the OCR support. That's great. It works very nice, but nevertheless, you need to deploy them somewhere. You need to go through that pipeline configuration that would take a few days. I remember that I was doing something similar in 2016, and I think that it took us around 2 weeks to be able to have all that systems up and running from one end to another, and so on. On the other side, you have the form recognizer that is providing us the full capability to be able to scan a PDF or an image to extract the content that is relevant for you. And what is the very powerful is that for custom models, you can train it with only 5 inputs. So you can train the model with only 5 examples, not 100, not 1,000, and so on. And one more thing that I would like to talk with you today is that the ability to use the Form Recognizer Studio that has a very nice interface to be able to do the labeling, to do the training. And once you have that model, you can take that model and introduce it in your own pipeline that is part of the system, doing Java or .NET or Python calls, or putting inside your Office 365 applications, and just to be integrated in the flow or in the pipeline that you define there. Now, what this Form Recognizer is offering us, is, especially from this point of view, is simple extraction, customized results, and that's very powerful because you might not want to have all the information, all the text that is detected there. You just want 2 or 3 labels, like in our case, the name of the person that would travel, he would leave from a specific city, time, when he would come back and the city that he's visiting and maybe for how long he stays in different location. Well, you might not care about other kind of information, and some of them might be private, like for example, the ticket number. That I don't know if you know about it, but if you take the ticket number and you go on the airline company using it and the family number, uh, the first name, you'll be able to modify or cancel it without having to provide any additional details. We have a flexible deployment model, and because in the end it's a Docker image, you can run it with success in the cloud, in your own Kubernetes cluster that can be inside cloud, inside AWS, inside Google Cloud, or on-prem. And also you have the ability, and that's pretty cool and it's pretty new, to be able to run Form Recognizer in a fully isolated environment with no internet connection. And that's pretty nice because if you talk about military, healthcare industry, or maybe in an airport, there are some systems that don't have and they will never have access to the public internet as we know it today. And also has a full built-in security that we are very familiar with when we're talking about Microsoft and Azure with all the access management, encryption, identity, and so on. Now, before going forward and before going to talk about the studio, let's take a look on some of the nice thing that I see that Form Recognizer is providing to us. And I don't know about you, but I have a friend that is part of a unicorn and he's working for that unicorn from 2018, and his team, around 8 to 12 people, are doing only one thing in the last 5 years: optimize a model, an AI model, to be able to detect, recognize, and extract text from bills and from images where you have text, but the paper was not plain. So something like this. And that's not an easy job because you have the vectors that you need to modify to be able to identify how the text looks like and so on. The nice part of Form Recognizer that is offering you an out-of-the-shelf this capability without any kind of problem. And from what I've seen and from my experience, around 95, 99% of the cases works great. So for the most common use cases, for the most common items, it would work well. And also, you have here a parameter that we don't need to forget. It's a confidence level. For each label, for each item that is identified, you have a confidence level that is between 0 and 1. You can decide at what confidence level, lower than a specific number, to require maybe a human confirmation that would do the analyze, or maybe you would say that I want to involve another OCR system to see what would be the output or to be able to compare them and so on. But you have the confidence level, you have that metric that you can use and to know how confident you are that Form Recognize got and obtained the information that you were looking for. Now, there are two models that you have in Form Recognizer. The pre-built model that you can see in the right part of the screen. The pre-built model at this moment in time is with is W2 document, the invoice, the receipt, the ID document, and the business cards. And they work pretty nice. For part of them, you have support in English and Spanish. For some of them, only in English. But it's a very good starting point and works pretty nice. But what I will focus on today to be able to solve our problem is on the custom models. And why custom models are so powerful? Because behind the scene, they're using the same capability that you have for pre-built models and works very easily from the beginning. So you just need to have that 5 samples. You cluster the form, you are doing the labeling if you want, or you can just say, okay, get all the content that you can and try to label them. He would also automatically discover the tables. And if you have, for example, documents where you have a list of items, it would be very useful to be able to get this list and put it in a specific format inside your system. And you can test and retrain it as much as possible. You can have multiple models. For example, in one time, we were using 3 different models, and if the confidence level for the first one, for some specific label, was under 0.7, we were running the second and the third model, and we were comparing the results. If the results would be the same, then we will go forward. Otherwise, we would mark that as we need a human person to be able to take a look and do the confirmation. And also you have the two types. You have the custom models that we were talking until now, and you have the compose. And the compose it's pretty interesting because you can combine multiple models to get one single output. So you can play around and you can process a document or a page using different models for different parts of it. So it's very, very flexible. As I said, where you can run it, software as a service, part of cognitive services inside Microsoft Azure, or as a Docker container. You can run it in any location where you have the Docker capability. For all the Kubernetes cluster, for example, that have internet connection, you can run it seamless as a Docker container because you need the internet connection for the image to report to Microsoft Azure backend about how many pages you were processing for the billing part. If you want to have the capability without an internet connection, then you will need to talk and to contact Microsoft to be able to provide you more details and the context how you can build this system. Now, the pricing is pretty nice. For the 500 pages, it's free per month, and it's pretty awesome because, especially in dev test environments, would be in most of the cases more than enough. I also seen some companies that don't do too much image processing, extracting data, where 500 per month, that's okay. You are a little bit limited. If I remember well, you are limited to one page processed, one document every 30 seconds, but you have you can have a queue and you can wait a little bit. And for more than 500 pages, and let's talk about the custom, because the custom are the most interesting one, you would have $50 per 1,000 pages. If you are running the Docker images by yourself, it would be around 40 or something like that, $40, or yes, about $32, sorry, 32 or $40. And the nice thing is that if you do a commitment for 6 months or 12 months or 10,000 or 100,000 pages, then you would have better prices. Now, what is the blueprint of the system that we would like to build? And after that, we'll take a look on the form recognizer part that is doing this part of labeling. On the left side, we have the big beauty and ugly at the same time, our internet. In the middle, we have the Office 365, and on the right side, we have the form recognizer. We have a listener for emails, and we have a new email that is notifying us that a ticket was booked. Most of the organization would have that email group that is receiving online tickets that were booked through the agency or the agency that they are using, and that would be the main trigger. We need to convert that content to PDF, even if it's an image, or even if it's a text, because Form Recognizer knows to work with images and PDFs. And after that, you will call the form recognizer that would extract the data, extract the label that you are looking for, let's say name, destination, flight information, and data. And after that, to provide to your Power Automate the response. You could do an automatical match to see who other people are going in the same dates, in the same location, or you have an overlap for the same location for different people. And you could send an email notification to that people. Well, let's say one day before going, that would notify you, hey, man, just want to let you know that these 3 guys will be also in New York at the same time as you. Now, let's take a look how usually a ticket look like. This is a ticket from 2019. And as you can see, the ticket has information like departure, arrival, flight information, went, the name of the person, in this case, my personal name, And now what we would need to do, first of all, we would need to be able to get to be able to analyze it. I'm now in the Form Recognizer Studio, and let's take, for example, one of the documents, and just to analyze it from as a general document. And you will see that he will get all the labels, and he will try to do a key value pair between them. Not all of them is perfect, but what I've seen in the last few years that he's better and better from this part. He's doing the analyze, and the output is something like this. Let me zoom in a little bit. And as you can see, he's done automatically a label. The email and the value is customer service, departure and the city, arrival and the location, how long. This kind of information, for example, when you leave, when you arrive, are not able to be able to extract automatically because it doesn't know exactly what is the label. So it's doing a pretty good job, but you need to give it more information to it. Now, if you go and we go on a custom model, I already pre-trained some models, and you will see that I used 5 as an input. And what I've done with this model would be, just to give an example, I was just trained to do the original departure location and departure time. So we have the capability to go and to specify exactly what we want to trigger. Let's say original departure, and let's create a new label that would include day, month, and time with destination arrival time. That's it. And now we have a new label. We can go on different samples and do the same thing. And to mark on the 5 of them. And after that, we would just need to do the training, and that's it. And after that, we can use it without any kind of problem to integrate it in our application. For example, in the test, let me drag and drop another ticket, and let's analyze it. Until it will analyze, and I'm using a free tier, so it takes a while. Let me show to you the output. This is the output, and I was creating 29 with the student, a tool that was doing a very similar thing that that the studio is doing now, basically to connect the key with the value. As you can see, it exactly with success, departure time and departure time and location. Why we don't have the arrival time? Because we didn't finish to do the labeling on all the inputs, all these 5 inputs, and after that to train the model. Once we will train it, then also we would get that output. And once we have that output, it is up to us to be able to integrate it in any other system. You can have sample with C#, with Java, JavaScript, Python, and so on. And as you can see, we have all the time the content. The polygon is exactly the location where was identified, what is the confidence, and the offset, and how long is that content. So it's pretty easy to use. Now, from the metrics that I got, just looking to the time, I have 1 or 2 minutes more. The initial output without having a custom label was that we identified 13 keys, 28 values, and the right mapping between them was 28 from 29. Only one was with a wrong matching. And the nice part is that when he's not able to identify the key and the value, he will skip it. There are some examples how you can do it from the command line, but we will skip it for now. What I would like to talk about is just a conclusion. And you've seen how you can address the problem. You've seen how Form Recognizer can improve. And consider that you don't need a technical person or a developer to be able to train the model. You don't even need a data science to be able to do that. Anybody can do this very, very easily. And I think this is the real power of Form Recognizer and the cognitive services that are provided by Microsoft. Out of the shelf service that is doing a an OCR part that usually would take you 2 or 3 weeks to be able to configure, to optimize, and so on, and you pay only per use. And it can improve a lot the way how you do business, the way how you can build your current and your future systems. If you like to have a chat with me on Form Recognizer, AI, or cloud, feel free to reach me over Twitter or LinkedIn, and we can set up a virtual coffee together to discuss more about it.
Okay, great, Radu. Great talk.
Yes, thank
Thanks
you
a
a lot.
lot.
It was really exciting.
Yeah. We have one question from Danny. Does Form Recognizer pre-trained models work for non-English tickets?
That's a very good question. So mainly the question is the pre-built models are working for non-English
Yes.
content? In theory, no, they not have full support. There are some models, pre-built models that have support for Spanish. Nevertheless, what I notified is that they were pretty good with any other languages, because in the end, for the form recognizer, you only have a text, a key and a value, and a key and a value. So even if it's, let's say, in Romanian or in Italian or in any other language, the form recognizer will look as a text. Of course, after that, if you want to do some optimization where to understand exactly what the content is, then you might need to use another system for it.
Okay.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you
answer.
for
And for
clarifying that. Yeah.
Yes, and for the session as well. It was really nice and very valuable, I think.
Yes. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you.